Good evening, everyone. I'd like to start the public participation of the regular meeting of the Common Council. It is Wednesday, August 9th, 2023. The time is 7 o'clock p.m. We do have three that are listed to speak. For those that wish to, please approach, state your name and address for record, and limit your time to 3 minutes to speak. The first one is Nader. Yes. So name and address, etc.
Yep. How are you? My name is Nader Sala, 230 East Main Street, Meriden, Connecticut. I'm here for the agenda on 238 North Street. I was here last night. I made some comments about my disapproval of the amount that was actually being paid to me on the property. I support the mayor and I support the city on their projects. But I 100% disapprove on the amount that I'm being paid here. It was the amount of the two appraisers. There's several ways to do appraising on properties. One of the appraisers had told me personally that he was asked to go slightly above what my actual purchase price was, which was $250,000. I have had carrying costs. I've hired engineers. I've hired designs. I've done environmental studies. I've done blah blah blah, dumpsters, tons of dumpsters. I've worked with the city to take care of all the violations on the property. I've had tons of carrying costs, tons of expenses, tons of things on this 3-bedroom building, 3 commercial fronts. So I've had a lot of carrying costs, a lot of expenses. I have a right to at least get my money back, and there's an additional what's called an investor profit that I'm not even near. So I am asking the city to at least, I know the council can't make any kind of negotiations with me or offers to me, but I am asking that the city work with me and try to give me some kind of fair market value on the property. And if not, I've had contracts for $500,000, for $595,000. They come to the city to purchase, to do their due diligence. This was back in July, a month after I purchased it. A city member has stated, hey, we're not issuing no certificate of compliances here, no matter what. You don't have parking. I had to call that person in front of the mayor, sit them down, and make this very clear that this is a non-conforming building. This abides by all the city codes. It's legal, 9 3-bedroom units. So, but the buyers obviously were scared of that and walked away. I continued from that point going forward, hiring electrical engineers because the service was cut. We've cleaned the building out with tons of furniture and dumpsters. I've worked with the city on several citations that the building had prior to my purchase for graffiti, the rear wall in the back that had to get demolished, that had to get removed. So there was a lot of work that was done and a lot of expenses and a lot of time with people. And I deserve a fair market value, and I support the city on the park and I support everything, but I should not get killed here because I will fight it if I had to, and I really don't want to. So I don't know if I can answer any questions, or I don't even know if I can.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Next, John. Good evening.
Good evening. John Christopik, 292 Linwood Street. Good evening, council members. Tonight, I won't bore you by mentioning that our taxes went up $1,508.70. So home property owners' taxes went up, and developers received abatements, exemptions, and fixed assessments. Looks like we added more to the pilot program that the council always complains about. What will be the benefits to the homeowners of New Britain? Businesses downtown might benefit, but not the homeowners who are paying for it now. Here's some taxes that they're paying. The Brit, $19,000. Berkowitz Building, $1,806. Prohibition, $12,419. The High Roller, $10,825. Let's talk about the Brit. 90 apartments, most studios. It's not sounding like it's going to be family friendly. The ground floor gym, a restaurant and bar, maybe. Costs north of $10 million. A 26-year tax abatement. When completed, the building would be subject to around $340,000 a year in taxes at the current rate. Payments are frozen at $50,000 for the next 26 years. That adds up to a $7.5 million savings for the developer. Not bad on a $10 million build. The Hartford Courant on February 17th, 2021. Councilman Thompson said Middletown and West Hartford have succeeded in raising property values by focusing on their downtowns. Well, New Britain's not a West Hartford, and it's not a Middletown. So the lost tax revenue at this building is gained at the other end multiple times over, he said. Yes, gained at the other end, the horse's ass, homeowners of New Britain. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you. Candace Scott? Welcome.
Hi everybody. I'm Candace Scott, 258 Lawler Street. I'm here today to talk about the new policy that was put in place to not report crimes, and I have some concerns with it. I feel like I have a responsibility to be here today to share on behalf of some of my neighbors that I have been speaking to in the neighborhood. I had a young couple. The wife is pregnant and she's getting ready to have a baby, and their car was smashed into, I believe it was Friday night. Battery was stolen out of the car. They can hardly afford to pay the deductible it's an older car. It's just a sad situation. And unfortunately, our neighbors wouldn't know anything about it unless we heard it that night or we went around door knocking. So I think that that's unfortunate. Also, on the way here, spoke to someone on Oak Street, said that they're hearing about cars being smashed into nonstop. The YWCA on Woodland Street a car was driven into the front window. That was not reported to anybody, so no one's aware of these things happening. So I have concerns because I feel that it is making our neighborhoods very unsafe, that we don't know about things that are happening in our neighborhood to protect ourselves. So that's unfortunate. Also, the parks. I've heard that the parks are very unsafe. I heard that it was reported in the news that they are safe, and unfortunately they are not. Willow Street, there was drug things laying around, and neighbors are concerned about this. There are children, they're playing in these parks, there are fights. Someone reported that there was actually a fight. Their daughter was attacked, and the police did not do anything. The police actually were trying to say that she was at fault when she was attacked by grown men. So that's another concern, our kids being safe. And also the intersection on North Street that Alderwoman Iris and Aram have also been complaining about since 2017. There are a lot of accidents. There are children that are walking around there. I just feel that we're waiting for something terrible to happen, so I just felt like I had a responsibility to be here today. Thank you.
Thank you. That's it for those that have signed up to speak. I'll offer it to anyone else wish to speak before the council. I know, I got to do it 3 times here. Second time, anyone else wish to speak? Third and final time, anyone else wish to speak? Seeing none from here, is anything online? Okay, thank you. Public participation is now closed at 7:10 PM. Any council members wish to address? Yes, Alderman Island.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I want to address some of what I heard tonight. I heard from first person from the developer of the building we're intending to discuss tonight, and I have serious concerns about us. We're done now with it. Serious concerns about rewarding a developer that of a vacant lot, of a vacant house, a vacant building that, had he put it on the market, would get very, very low, if any, money for. So I have serious concerns, and I hope to hear a good discussion about that. The second speaker spoke about the tax abatement, and we've been, at least the Democrats here have been complaining about how generous the city is to developers, and I'd like to hear that the number of $7.5 million that we lost, and we have a serious deficit, and we complain about so many non-taxable property we have here. I mean, the CCSU and the hospital, and so I want to reiterate that developers need to pay their fair share, and they, of course, the homeowners and the renters too are suffering from that. And I tie that to the offer that this developer is asking for, because now the city wants to reward an absentee landlord, and so that's another strike. Finally, the last speaker spoke about the lack of report, and I was completely caught off guard when I heard that the city no longer reports on crimes to the media. That's unheard of. I don't think there's any other town in Connecticut that refuses to send crime information to the new local newspaper, to the media. Why is that? I'm wondering. Is there something we have to cover up or hide? Is the city hiding its real crime issue to attract more developers or more people to move into town? I don't think that's going to work, because people talk, and word to mouth, and you would hear it somewhere else, and suddenly there will be a big crime that the CBS and Hartford Courant and the New York Times will report, and then the citizens here will ask, where's the city? Why aren't we not being alerted about what's going on? What should we look for? How should we protect our children in the parks and everywhere else? And I think, I submitted a petition on that, and I hope to have a serious discussion, and I hope that my colleagues on both sides will support to press the police and the mayor to go back to being transparent and sending information. Unheard of to ask for freedom of information for daily, crimes and police report. I've never heard about something like that. And I'm really disappointed because we have a Republican Party that praise itself as being the party of law and order and safety. Number one is to report it. Thank you very much.
Yes, Alderman Skirpo.
Good evening. So the police department faced an issue under Chief Shute where the New Britain Herald was taking particular crimes and only reporting those. They were not reporting all the crimes that they were given. They were also not reporting the crimes correctly, and they said it was their choice to choose which people they put in the paper as criminals and which ones were not. We also asked them, like any other citizen that walks in, to pay for the copies for the paper that comes out of the city budget, and they said they don't have to, nor do they want to. So at that point, we stopped all communications with the Herald based on the fact that they were argumentative, non-cooperative, and were not reporting properly the crimes being committed within the city because they felt that it was objective to certain areas of town. So that was under Chief Shute. I believe we did, my understanding, told the Herald if they want them, just pay for it, and the Herald's never come back since. So any other citizen that walks in who's a taxpayer must pay for copies of police reports. We simply asked the Herald to do the same, and they said no. So at this point, the Herald's welcome to get whatever they want at any time, as long as they properly actually put it in the paper, what's happening in the city of New Britain, and not disguising it in a way that makes certain entities in the city look better or worse. Because they don't have the right to pick and choose who makes it in the paper and who doesn't when we give them an entire crime blotter. So that's where we're at with the Herald. And having worked the front desk and having news agencies call me and ask me what's going on today, and we give them information, many times they choose not to publicize it. I myself have answered the phone many times in 25 years as a New Britain police officer to all the news channels in the state. They take what they want and they only put on what they decide is necessary. And of course, 99% of the time it's a negative. All the times we've told them about PAL events for kids, the PAL cheerleaders winning national competitions, PAL football winning regional and national competitions, we get zero news coverage. As soon as they find out a cop did something wrong, they're all over the city of New Britain. So it's a fair and unpractical news coverage that's hindering the city and making it look worse. There's no reason for us to subjugate ourselves to that and make the city look worse if the content we're giving them isn't going to be fairly and equally distributed to the public. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Smedley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was also going to stand to correct the fact that we didn't enact a policy on not reporting crimes, and Alderman Skirpo said it perfectly. If you Google New Britain arrest log, the last time the New Britain Herald published one was approximately 2021, so they stopped reporting that on their own. We had continued to waste resources to provide them the information that, as Alderman Skirpo detailed, they were picking and choosing what they were going to publish. To improve this situation, the city very surely will be publishing our arrest logs online for everyone to be able to get information quickly through our city and police department website. So there is a solution there, but the misinformation that we enacted a policy to stop reporting crime or that we're covering something up is completely not factual and incorrect. Tax abatements. If we didn't provide a tax modification deal for the Brit or the High Railer, those buildings would have sat. And at the time, when we talked about it, we were collecting just under $18,000 a year in taxes. And as a gentleman came up and said, his information is pretty factual, it's $50,000, but there is an escalator of 2% every year. It is not a fixed cost every year. So that is some misinformation. And our tax modifications invite investors to the city, or we can sit with vacant, dilapidated buildings and have to go through the eminent domain process like we're doing tonight. Thank you. In our downtown.
Thank you. Alderman
Thank you,
Kowski.
Mr. Chair. So, as Mayor Pro Tem just stated about the developer who doing the Brit Jasco development, I know him personally, and I've been in the old Burt building when it was still standing. So your facts, sir, are not straight. If you want some straight facts, I suggest you come talk to one of us and who's been in that building. 18,000 versus 50, and we're not getting anything. 90 more people in the city, market rate apartments, we're not getting anything. And if you do the math, sir, every single homeowner that's living in a single family can't bring that to downtown. And the restaurants, hopefully they're gonna open up soon. I'll be eating there. Most of these people will be eating there. Just come and join us.
Thank you. Alderman Catanzaro.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I wasn't gonna, but talking about the tax breaks, a lot of us didn't like the length and stuff also, but that was done in the past. We understand why it was done. It's why those buildings are getting built. The latest is down to 13, and we discussed that probably any future agreements we have are gonna be a lot less. It still hopefully will attract some developers, but we can make some modifications to help the city out in a shorter time than 26 years. So we're aware of that also, and we were trying to make modifications, not to chase developers away, to keep them, but also to help the city. So we are aware, and we're trying to do our best to get more money for the city. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Anyone else? Real quick for me, just understanding what we did with the tax abatements, but certainly we would never be in West Hartford, we would never be in Middletown if we're not trying. And businesses and people want to come to cities that invest in themselves, and exactly what we're doing. As far as the crime reporting, 17 years on the police commission, crime was always fully open. What was discussed, what was happening, it was never hidden. I was always there, and this is the police commission with commissioners that I served, both Republican, Democrats, Independents, for years and years and years. They were always given to us on a monthly basis. So it was never hidden. It was always fully there for us to discuss at every meeting. And I think that's it. Nothing further. This concludes, and Mayor will be here shortly to start the regular meeting. Thank you.
I'm gonna have to look him up. All right. It's a little hot. Is John here? Yeah. I'll text him. Okay. I would like to call to order this regular meeting of the New Britain Common Council. The date is August 9th, 2023. The time is 7:26 PM. Mr. Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Alderpersons Dyson. Here. Ayalon. Here. Catanzaro.
Here.
Costa. Hargraves. Here. Malinowski. Here. Ortiz Luna. Pabon. Russell. Here. Rutkowski. Here. Sanchez. Skirpo.
Here.
Segura. Thompson. Smedley.
Present.
10 present, Your Honor.
Thank you very much. Can we all please rise for the invocation? It will be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. O God, our Heavenly Father, as summer vacations come to a close, look down on our residents and give them solace in knowing cooler temperatures are fast approaching. For children returning to school, excited about meeting new and old friends, give them the ability to wake up early, ensure they excel in the classroom, and become a valuable member of our community. We ask this in thy name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I'll turn it over to Alderman Smedley for minutes approvals.
Thank you, Your Honor. I make a motion to accept the minutes of the regular meetings of June 14th, June 28th, and July 12th of 2023.
I have a second by Alderman Dyson. Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor of approving the minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Alderman, are there any amendments to the agenda tonight?
Yes, ma'am. I make a motion to amend the agenda by adding items 14 and 15.
Okay, do I have a second? Second by Alderman Malinowski. Any questions or comments on those two amendments? Mr. Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Alderpersons Dyson.
Yes.
Ayalon.
Yes.
Catanzaro.
Yes.
Hargraves. Yes. Malinowski.
Yes.
Russell.
Yes.
Rutkowski.
Yes.
Sanchez. Skirpo. Smedley.
Yes.
10-0, Your Honor.
Thank you. Motion carries. Mr. Clerk, I've got two petitions this evening.
That's correct, Your Honor. First one is from Alderpersons Sanchez and Dyson for the appropriate departments to install an advanced left turn arrow at the intersection of North Street and Stanley Street.
And we're going to send that to the Department of Public Works, please.
Okay, and the second is from Alderman Ayalon for the appropriate departments to respond to anecdotes that have appeared on about series of car break-ins.
To the Police Department, please.
And that's it, Your Honor.
All right, thank you very much. We're going to move right along to the consent agenda. Alderman Smedley.
Thank you. I make a motion to accept the consent agenda of items A, B, and C. Item D will be off of consent.
I have a second by Alderman Russell. Any questions or comments on the consent agenda? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Alderpersons Dyson.
Yes.
Ayalon.
Yes.
Catanzaro.
Yes.
Hargraves.
Yes.
Malinowski.
Yes.
Russell.
Yes.
Rutkowski.
Yes.
Sanchez.
Yes.
Skirpo. Smedley.
Yes.
10-0, Your Honor.
Thank you. Motion carries. Item D, Alderman Ayalon.
Thank you, Your Honor. I make a motion to accept item D.
I have a second by Alderwoman Sanchez.
I'd like to invite Mr. Benjamin or anybody here that can speak about the purchase of, anybody here?
Well, what is the nature of the question?
About the request to purchase the house on North Street. Yes, I don't.
Good evening.
Thank you. I know we can talk about it later on in this, but I wanted to make sure that we have enough time to discuss this important issue. Can you give us background about this building, the history of this building, and how did it get to be vacant for the last few years? And so we better understand before we make a decision.
Well, I can't tell you how it became vacant. That's a private matter. I don't know what led to it becoming vacant.
Well, maybe you can give a history of who owned it in the last decade or two.
This
and
gentleman
what-
owns it now, the one that's sitting here. He bought it 2 years ago. Before that, what was that Green Pharmacy that owned it before?
So who would know, who would have that information? There
Vision
obviously
Appraisal.
somebody, Jack Benjamin?
Oh, Caleb's here.
Oh,
I mean, it's on the vision card. It's a simple search
If you
on
did the
the
research,
city
which you clearly
website.
didn't.
okay, here we are, okay.
I know. Do you
Good
know?
evening.
Do you know
Good evening.
Caleb?
I know a few things.
Go ahead.
For the record, Caleb Cole, City of New Britain Health Department. So I prepared just a short background report. If you have additional questions, I can certainly entertain those after, but if you would
Yeah, I
indulge
will.
me.
Again, I just want to clarify. So, like the action in front of us, you can do this, but I just want to clarify for everybody watching. This is just on the report from the Committee on Planning, Zoning, and Housing. That's the item that's before us right now, which simply just states that the Common Council held a public hearing last night, and this was what discussed, and that it was a unanimous vote by the committee to send it out with a neutral recommendation. That's just what we're talking about right now. So Alderman, if you want to continue with your question, you certainly can, or you can save it for when we're actually talking about the resolution, which would be a more appropriate place to do that. But if you want to ask now, sure.
I can find a seat.
Why don't we finish with that and we'll continue afterwards with other, since you started, I'll let you do that and then we'll continue afterwards. And I'll end it up in,
Go
Read?
ahead.
you are a short,
Read.
give us
Okay.
a brief.
Yeah.
I'll read. All right. So the timeline for enforcement for the blighted building located at 238 North Street for the scope of this report dates to the immediate previous owner of the property, U.S. Bank National Associates, and includes enforcement action against the current owner, Eaglewood Management LLC. So I'll just give you, it just goes back about 2 years. So May 12, 2021, a civil citation was issued to U.S. Bank National Associates for blight violations at the property, including peeling, chipping paint, unpainted boards, falling gutters, defective masonry, solid waste, damaged basement hatchway, torn screens, and other nuisances. On March 28, 2022, the city took action to secure the building by boarding sections of the common stairs and hatchway door. March 29, 2022, and these are the greatest hits. March 29, 2022, a notice of combination was issued to the property owner, U.S. Bank National Associates, from the Director of Health, based on deficiencies to the alarm system and electrical service. That following day, March 30th, 2022, a notice of unsafe structure was issued to the property owner, U.S. Bank National Associates, from the building official based on deficiencies to the fire alarm system and electrical service. June 7th, 22, the payoff for the outstanding liens, pretty much based on the civil citation, was made whole to the city at a sum of $36,299.41. On June 9th, 2 days later, the property was transferred to Eaglewood Management LLC. In October of 2022, a ticket was issued for $792, characterizing 8 violations. With interest and payoff for this amount of, as of today, the interest would be $992.68. The property owner met with staff in and around October 22 to make corrections to the violations cited in the ticket. In and around that same time, concrete barriers were erected to delineate the property line between the city and the subject parcel. To this date, no permits for work at this site have been approved since Eagle One took possession in June of 2022.
Thank you, Your Honor, and we'll be glad to continue the discussion later on. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions for Mr. Cowles on the report here? Thank you, sir. Any other questions on the report? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. We'll move on to resolutions this evening. Resolution number 1, Alderman Smedley.
Thank you, Your Honor. I make a motion to accept and adopt resolution number 1.
I have a second by Alderman Russell.
Thank you, Your Honor. And of course, this is a resolution regarding the report that we just accepted for the proposed purchase of 238 North Street for expansion of Willow Street Park or other municipal purposes.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Now we're at the right point for going to discussion, so Alderman Catanzaro.
Thank you, Your Honor. I rise in opposition to this sale for a few reasons. I totally agree the reason to open up the park and make it safer. I agree with that 110%. I just don't agree with the price. And I understand how the eminent domain works. We learned that when we were building the police department and how we get the quote. So I understand that if we possibly went to court, we end up paying more probably. But it just kills me that we're going to spend $300,000 on a house that we're going to knock down, and then pay to knock it down and whatever else we do to that ground. It just, I think it's way too much money. Seeing our tax bills went out, and a lot of people just talked about their taxes being increased. So, like I said, I believe in the concept of why we're doing it. I just wish it didn't cost so much. And I know the gentleman wants more money, and that's almost laughable. That's not going to happen. So, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Alderman Catanzaro. Alderman Dyson?
Thank you, Your Honor. I rise in favor of it. I know it's a lot of money, but I'll go back to when I said I was a police commissioner. Years and years and years used to do help out with the North Oak NRZ cleanup. We wouldn't let kids anywhere near that block forever, and it was just, and yet the park is still there, and it's just like, I kept thinking to myself, when are we going to clean it up? When is somebody going to clean it up? Because it's deplorable. Alderman Sanchez had me look at it a few nights ago, and I did, and I'm still kind of appalled by it. And I know in your planning committees, we talked about it for the past 2 years. That's always been on the agenda, that building. So it needs to get cleaned up. That whole area needs to get cleaned up. It needs to be safer for the kids to see and play in that area. So I know it's money, but I'm in full favor of cleaning up that whole area. And I think that it's long past due. So I'm in favor. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Alderman Ayalon?
Thank you, Your Honor. I think we need to have more information here about what's going on. We just heard a list of violations that happened in the last 2 years. And if I understand it correctly, the city can, if it hasn't done it yet, can take the developer to court and basically condemn the building, and the building will be worth $80,000, whatever the space below it worth. I don't think a developer that would have so many violations should be rewarded. That's number one. And I think that fits together with catering towards developers and giving them tax abatement and giving them a break for neglect. I want to bring another point. We have a shortage of affordable housing. We have a shortage, especially in Ward 3. This house, if cleaned and if put in shape, could be inhabited again. There are a variety of ways that the city can handle this. It could borrow. It could get some grants. And, for that reason, there's land banks and green banks where that's their role, is to take a vacant lot, a condemned building, fix it up and sell it. And I think that this building fits very well with the rest of the building in that neighborhood. It's basically very sound. It needs to be cleaned. I understand there's asbestos issues, there's other issues. It needs serious work. Making it part of the park, demolishing the building, I don't think will improve as it would be desirable, but I don't think it will make necessarily the neighborhood safer. It will just remember that one house after, there's another vacant lot that became vacant 10 years ago or even longer, as I understand, and the city owns it. I don't think it will benefit Ward 3, which I still represent, to have another vacant place on North Street. So I would like to know, what are the plans that the city has? Why add it to the park? I asked, and I didn't get a response about plans. And I will be glad to hear otherwise. What are the plans if you demolish this house?
I'll read you the email I sent you. That was
Yeah, I
received.
read, I didn't.
Okay.
The response you gave was that after the building will be bought, and after there will be eminent domain and all this, then
That would have
we'll
to happen
ask
first.
the resident what they want. But I
That's-
wonder if you
no.
have any plans for this.
Hold on.
Yes.
Because first of all, it's mentioned in the resolution, right there, what's going to be there. And then I'll read to you my response that I sent to you yesterday. Hold on.
I have it printed if you would like.
My response. Fantastic.
It's because we're connected to Wi-Fi, and the Wi-Fi here is...
So my response was, there are no concrete plans for it yet. If anything, it would be a reconfiguration to allow for the entrance off of North Street for Willow Street Park. Because your question was, what are the development plans, and how does this fit into the purchase? Were the neighborhood residents consulted regarding the park's plans? So answering your question about the neighborhood being consulted, it would not behoove us at this moment, which I said in here, to talk about that, because we don't own the building yet. After that was the case, then the neighbor would be consulted.
Well, I'm still asking a question. So we have a master plan for the city of New Britain, and plans for developing of parks. What's the plans for this park? What's the future plans? Where that fits with the plans, or this is just came the opportunity here, or what are the plans for the park?
Well, like I just said, if anything, it would be a reconfiguration to allow for an entrance off of North Street to the park.
Okay. Thank you. Your Honor, I'm opposed to this, and I vote no, and I actually would rather, instead of voting no, table this so we can get more information and have more time for planning. But here are my reasons for voting against it, and I hope majority here joins me. Number one, we're rewarding an absentee owner who didn't develop it, got a lot of citations, and he shouldn't be making profit. He bought it for $250,000. We should taking him to court and basically get it for free or get it for a minimal. That's number one. It's a waste of taxpayers' money.
We can't get it for free.
And number two, we need more housing. We need not to demolish buildings, rather than we need more affordable buildings. So especially in Ward 3, and as a representative of Ward 3, I think that's my duty to make that happen. And here we have a building that could be renovated and could be inhabited again. So Alderwoman Sanchez will have neighbors from her building. Thank you very much.
Alderman Smedley?
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm, through you, I'm just a little bit confused about my colleague's direction and how he's going to vote or why he's going to vote no. He states that he's not in favor of rewarding the owner. We're not doing that. There is a legal process that we have to follow. We can't just take something for free from somebody. Eminent domain, you need a municipal purpose for the property, and then you have to pay fair market value for that property to the owner. We can't just take everything from the person for neglect or whatever, unfortunately. And when we do acquire this property and we continue to improve the Willow Street Park, and by the way, Mr. Barbieri is here from Parks and Recreation Department, we just spent $400,000 in Willow Street Park on the basketball courts. So what is the plan? We will continue to improve the capital equipment and structures that we have in our parks as we have done for the last 10 years when grant money and other funds allow within our city budget. So I want to erase this misconception that we're not doing anything with Willow Street Park, because that is completely inaccurate. So, not to mention the regular maintenance of the water park. More affordable housing was addressed, and taking away this 9-unit building is not going to harm what some are saying is a housing crisis in these areas. There are 3 brand-new developments downtown with market value apartments, 1, 2, and 3 bedroom, and more on the way. So I just can't stand behind the comments of my colleague. And I'm also confused about how we're rewarding the owner. He's getting fair market value at $337,000. He requested in a meeting with the mayor over $500,000 for the property. Thank you, Your Honor.
Alderman Hargreaves?
Thank you, Your Honor. I kind of echo what Alderman Smelly said. I'm a little appalled that some people think that government can come in and just take someone's property for free. That is not only a slippery slope, that's a violation of our rights as property owners. We have to give a fair market value, and what we think is a fair market based on the 2 appraisals is what we're doing. Can you imagine you owning a house with your family and the government says, I'm just going to take your house from you and we're going to give you nothing from it? That's absurd. That is absolutely absurd. And as I mentioned yesterday, I was a little concerned about the price. There was, it's an $87,500 difference from when he purchased it just over a year ago. The taxes were approximately $13,675.98. So the developer, with everything else, will be making $73,000, I guess, if he didn't put anything else into it. But the valuation from when he bought it was $150,000, and it went up to $296,000. So valuation is going up. He paid so much. And then I also look at Willow Street Park, and I look at how you can only get in from one end, which is a dead end. It is completely surrounded by buildings on every side. You can't see the activity going on from the street. You have to really pull into the park. That's a safety issue. I hear stories of people doing drugs and doing illicit things in that park because they can't be seen because of all the bushes and the buildings that's going on. Our kids, our residents, they deserve to have a clean and safe park that they can go to. And by removing this building, it's helping our residents at the end of the day. So sometimes we have to invest in things to make things better for our city, for our residents, and for our kids. The kids from Smalley that live in that area shouldn't have to walk through that going to and from school. We shouldn't have to do that. We have to improve the lives of our residents. And that's kind of what we're doing here. So I don't know if there's ever been eminent domain under this administration. I think this is the first, and correct me if I'm wrong. So it's not like we're trying to do this every other day. It's not happening all the time, but when things need to happen, and it's the right time, it needs to happen. So I fully agree with this. Even though I did have concerns originally about the price, I do see that we went through the correct process and had the appraisals, so that's the price. The developer wants more. He thinks that that's not fair. And I was listening last night, but after reviewing my notes and going through, I think it's more than fair. So maybe we have to put some type of investment into our city. We got to improve the lives of our residents, and it's just taking that step forward. We need to improve the North Oak area. We're constantly saying that we're worried about downtown areas. We're not worried about the neighborhoods. This is a direct going to impact the North Oak area, the neighborhood that needs some assistance, the area that needs improvement. And to improve the park, we're known for our parks here in the city, and that park is just, it's very secluded from everything. So open it up, have an entrance on North Street, put more amenities there so that people in the neighborhood can enjoy. Because when you think about it, the next close park is Chesley, and it's not that close. And the next close after that would be Stanley Quarter, and that's not that close. So that's a very tight, dense area, that neighborhood, the North Oak Street area, it's very dense. So they deserve to have a high-quality park where their parents aren't worried about them seeing needles and people doing drugs in a more open area. So I definitely support this. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Hargreaves. Alderwoman Sanchez.
Thank you, Your Honor. I would like to thank Alderman Dyson and Thompson, even though he's on vacation, I believe.
Yeah.
For stopping by the park. They saw everything was going on, even with the traffic light.
Yeah.
It's a circus. Now people crash, they keep going. They don't wait for the police. So we don't have the right numbers for the accident happening there. The last accident was an old lady, like around 9 p.m. They crashed her, they kept going, kids running, helping her out, getting out of the car. I live right on top of the traffic light. I know what is going on in there. I'm in favor of this resolution. Like I said yesterday, as long as to improve the area, beautify the area, the safety of the kids, because they've been watching what is going on there. And Alderman Dyson was there, he was Irish, that's not good. So as long as good for the community, I'm in favor of this. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderwoman. Any other questions or comments on this?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I would like to ask a question.
Alderman Rutkowski.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
You're welcome.
My question would be to Mr. Eric Barbieri from the Parks Department, if he could come up, please.
Sure.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir. Since you are the Director of Parks, what would be your vision for that area?
Well, I think that should be a discussion that would be had amongst a lot of people, including the Parks and Recreation Commission, the mayor, and a lot of other people. But I can tell you right off the bat that that park is very programmed. There's basketball, and there's a soccer field or whatever, open space field for that. There's a splash pad, there's a playground. But there's no area for just open space, grass, which I think that neighborhood could really use. You know, if you do have to have a street that goes through there and some parking, why not just have, like we did at Chesley Park, we put a pavilion in and a playground, but we just made a huge round grass area for people to come and do passive recreation, lay down, read, enjoy. Just not everyone has a backyard with a green lawn. It's something the park could then offer, which it really doesn't offer right now. So I think it would require a greater discussion. There could be benches, there could be areas for people to just do some passive recreation, picnic tables, things like that. There are some under the pavilion. But this would be in grass areas and a little bit nicer, and maybe a shade structure, whatever. But I love these conversations. I would love to talk about it and what it could become. I think it would be really exciting.
But first, we got to pass this resolution. Understood. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
I know a few houses in that area. I used to have a lot of properties in that area, on Lawler Street, on North Street, and whatnot. It didn't take me 2 years to develop one either. Because if I can recall, it takes a few months to redo a building. I'm not going to have you come up, sir, because I know what your answer is going to be. But anyway, I'm going to vote in favor of this. I think the North Street area deserves this. I think the North Street area residents deserve this. The kids that visit the parks deserve this. I think it'll be a great addition to our city. Thank you very much. And by the way, I've been in that building. Trust me, it's disgusting.
Thanks, Alderman Rutkowski. Any other questions or comments for a second time? Alderman Ayalon.
Okay. I just want to point out to the larger picture, because I'm a policy guy. So every time we have, it's not the first time in 6 years, we have a controversial sale or rent or a lease of city buildings or property. And the underlying reason is that, and Alderman Rutkowski knows that, we tried, and I've tried twice, to change the city ordinance, which has only 2 paragraphs about the process of selling and buying and leasing property. 2 paragraphs. While other towns around and across Connecticut have almost a booklet with a process, an orderly process that involves everybody, including representative from the Common Council, being on the property, discussion. We don't have that, and so we are bound to see this over and over again. And suddenly, here's some kind of controversy, and what happened, and why, and where's the plan, and who knows. And so here we come again with this building, and I've seen that before, and I think it will continue being here until the city will get its game together and have a detailed, participatory policy about the sale and buying and purchasing and leasing, with a vision that involves the community and involves a long-term, a long-term planning, rather than, let's let's change this park, and good idea, we don't have plans yet, but we'll be good. Be good to have that. And so, as you could hear from Mr. Barbieri, that he doesn't yet have a plan. So what I suggest is, because there are quite a few of you here have concerns about the price, is that we table it for now and deal with that. Finally, what's the hurry? I'm sure we can get a better price, first of all. Save money for the taxpayers, and I think that should be our number one. Save money for the taxpayers of demolishing, paying this huge price for a vacant lot that, had he put it on the market, he wouldn't get half of that. I don't see us. So I make a motion here to table this for now, and I'm looking for a second.
Motion fails. Any other questions or comments? Alderman Catanzaro.
Thank you, Your Honor. I just want to comment, Mr. Barbieri. In my opinion, even though I'm voting against this, I like the reason why we're doing it. I think the whole grassy area would be perfect with tables. Instead of building something there that might block the rest of the park, or even a parking lot, which I think at night would be, would just attract more issues. And my long term, which I'm sure the mayor is too, is to develop that whole, from that corner to Oak. Maybe with a whole new, if we get somebody that wants to build, maybe a nice big strip with some more retail on the bottom and apartments upstairs, and redo that section of north. I think that would be, and of course across the street needs a big uplift, but that's privately owned. So I think that area would be coming along. I think it's going to help. So even though I have my reasons to vote against it. Thank you, Your Honor.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, we'll take the vote. It is a voice vote, so all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? No. For the record, Alderman Ayalon and Alderman Catanzaro. Motion carries. Item number 2, Alderman Malinowski.
Thank you, Your Honor. I make a motion to accept and adopt item 2.
Second by Alderwoman Sanchez.
And this is for the fire department to purchase 116 RPI PX40 40-inch systems, including a pocket bag RPI extension lanyard from Strategic Safety Dynamics in the amount of $61,096.64, and the money comes from a FEMA grant, and I urge adoption.
Thank you very much, Alderman Malinowski. Are there any questions or comments on this item? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 3, Alderman Skirpo.
Thank you, Your Honor. I make a motion to accept and adopt item number 3.
Second. I have a second from Alderman Smedley.
The city's entering into a contract with White Way Laundry, which has been going on since 2014. When the new contract came up, 5 uniform companies were contacted via mail and email. White Way Laundry was the only one to get back to the city. And my understanding from what I'm reading here is that they've had no issues since 2014 with the city and or its operation, and I urge adoption.
Thank you very much, Alderman Skirpo. Any questions or comments on this? Seeing none, all those in favor? Signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries with an abstention from Alderman Rutkowski. Yeah, no, it's fine. We just can't count them if you're over here. Alderman Hargreaves, items 4, 5, and 6, so.
Thank you, Your Honor. I make a motion to accept and adopt resolution number 4.
Seconded by Alderwoman Sanchez.
So the next 3 resolutions are pretty much for the after-school programs. I'm a product as not only a student of the after-school programs, but also a staff member for several years. They're great programs that keep our kids off the street from that very important time from after school to about 6 o'clock when a lot of parents are working. They provide recreational activities, homework assistance, friendship and bonds and everything. So it's great. This first one is a grant from the American Savings Foundation to fund the programs at Slade and Pulaski Middle Schools in the amount of $130,000. And I urge adoption.
Thank you very much, Alderman.
One, who seconded it, and then another alderman disappeared?
Alderwoman Sanchez seconded it.
Thank you.
Alderman Ayalon
has disappeared. So he'll abstain as well. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Alderman Hargreaves.
Thank you, Your Honor. Very similar, the Every Kid Counts after-school program. This is for elementary sites, De Loretto, Holmes, and Vance Elementary Schools. This comes from the 21st Century Community Learning Centers grant from the Connecticut State Department of Education in the amount of $200,000, and I urge adoption.
I have a second by Alderman Russell. Are there any questions or comments on item number 5? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Alderman Rutkowski and Alderman Ayalon have returned. Alderman Hargreaves.
Thank you, Your Honor. I make a motion to accept and adopt resolution number 6.
Seconded by Alderman Catanzaro.
This one is specifically for Lincoln Elementary School, which is the last school I actually worked at before I left the after-school program. This is from the HUD grant through CDBG, and it's an amount of $20,000, which is less this year, $20,000, and I urge acceptance.
Thank you, Alderman. Any questions or comments on this item? Seeing none, all those in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Alderman Rutkowski, resolution number 7 this evening.
Thank you, Your Honor. Make a motion to accept and adopt item number 7.
Second.
I have a second by Alderman Malinowski.
This is for $49,700 to Weston and Sampson for Encore Engineering assignment for Overlook Avenue Drainage Improvement Project, final design and big documents, and I urge adoption.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there any questions or comments on this? Yes. Alderman Ayalon.
Thank you, Honor. Can we get an update on the Overlook project? Of course, we had a flood there several years ago, and I know there's some work. I'm curious if we can get what happened in Overlook in the last huge rains that we got here. Has it suffered, and where we are?
Where do you want me to start?
Wherever you want.
Okay, so let's see. Going back a couple of years, we completed 2 drainage studies on Overlook. So the last one was a preliminary design of drainage improvements. Part of it was improving the hydraulics of the drainage system on Overlook because how the pipes came together, then it wasn't conducive to getting the water down McKinley Street. And then the second part of that project, there's a pipe on McKinley that's just undersized. So we completed the first part of the project, which was improving the hydraulics on Overlook. That project was done, I think, a year and a half ago. So that was a smaller project, but it did do some significant improvements. Now we have moved money so we can fund the construction of the larger project, and we're trying to get that in construction in the spring of 2024. It's about 824 feet of pipe, or mostly replacing a 48-inch and a 60-inch pipe with a 4x8 basically box culvert in the middle of a road, which is it's going to be a tough project. One of the tricky things about it actually is while you're replacing the pipe, if there is a storm, managing stormwater during the course of the project, I think is going to be a challenge. And then it's such a big culvert we're putting in a road, how it impacts the other utilities. That's something we're evaluating right now. So we're looking at our water lines and sewer lines, and we might have to upgrade those at that same time. Gas line has already been moved. So we're moving. It's a high priority project for next year, and we're making good progress on it. The pipe, much like a lot of the pipes in the city, but the pipes on Overlook were put in the mid-40s for a 10-year design storm, which is what the state puts things in for and what a lot of communities put things in for. And in 1940s, that was probably a pretty good design decision. As things we're getting more intense rain events, and every year have people either in the caretaker group or in the stormwater operation saying, God, that's the worst I've ever seen it. It seems like I get that every couple of years now, and this year I got it twice. So we, there's
major storm events that are just beyond the capacity of our storm system. And that system for that one section on McKinley is like probably worse than most in the city, where it's undersized. So we're moving forward with the project to take that on. I think it's a good project. We had submitted a hazard mitigation grant with Department of Emergency Management. We had responded to questions with that grant and expected, honestly, we put this thing for almost 2 years ago. We put in grant applications all the time. We hear from them in some kind of reasonable, timely manner. And as this one deals with like actual emergency situation, you think you'd hear back a little bit quicker. That we still haven't received an answer for that. So we just moving in a different direction. We still have an application for Allen Street on that same program. And we're not to get off topic, but we're putting in another grant application for Allen Street. That's a federal grant right now. So that's pretty much where we're at right now.
And just the last part was asking, how did it withstood the last, what happened on Overlook in the last storm?
I mean, not
The
well.
last big one.
It's a quick flood there because it's we get these high intensity, short duration storms. The storm, it floods quickly and then it recovers. By the time you get the call and go out there, it's pretty much cleared. But it's the storm system is undersized. It can't handle some of these storm events that we're getting right now.
And I guess last question, you mentioned Allen Street, you mentioned, is there any other locations? How many would you say your assessment at-risk locations we have in New Britain that if we have a big storm again, might get flooded severely?
I mean, those are the worst. But there's other areas that get some flooding. I mean, it's like I said, it's a 10-year design storm that most of the system is designed for. So, but those are the ones that have like some other flaw in the system. That it's not just that it's a 10-year design storm. There's some other things that are going on there that make it more complicated. So, those are the big ones that we're after, and they're expensive projects.
Are there any state and federal funds dealing with flooding around the country? Or, you know, I know we are maybe not at the highest priority, but are there any?
I mean, I just kind of talked about this where we have 2 grants in, one for Overlook, one for Allen Street, that we've been put in 2 years ago, that we're still have not gotten anywhere, and we've made a lot of calls on, and we're submitting in August 18th, so just next week, we're submitting a Protect grant to the US DOT for Allen Street. So we're working on that right now as we speak.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Moriarty. That was very thorough. Alderman Catanzaro.
Thank you, Your Honor. It's related to flooding, but not this street, because I totally forgot to call you. Rome Street, I got a couple calls on Rome. They have the old catch basins, and I guess, you know, it might just be stuff on top of them. You can maybe just send somebody over and check it out when you get a chance.
Sure.
Thank you, Your Honor. Sorry about that.
As another project that we're undertaking, and I don't want to speak out of turn for Mr. Esponda, but it's something that we're looking to do as part of the NB Flush program, is to subcontract out to a separate company who can come in and clean out all of the catch basins in town. It'll be costly, but that's why we established the Clean Water Fund for a reason, and I think it'll go a long way. But it's just work that will take, you know, over a year for our own staff to do, if not longer. So you need to find a third party to come in and do that. Yeah, thanks. Any other questions for Mr. Moriarty? Thank you. Any other questions on resolution number 7? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Alderman Rutkowski, item 8.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll make a motion to accept and adopt item number 8.
Second.
I have a second from Alderman Smedley.
This is for $50,000 to Fuss and O'Neill for on-call engineering services on an as-needed basis to support the city's capital improvement project NIH adoption.
Thank you very much, Alderman. Any questions or comments on this? This is simply just because we don't have the engineering staff in-house to be able to take care of doing a lot of these on-call engineering services for the grants that we need to spend. So when we get our local capital improvement project money, oftentimes we need engineering to get it done and get it done in a timely manner. So that's what this will go for. Any questions or comments on that? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Resolution number 9 tonight, Alderman Malinowski.
Thank you, Your Honor. I make a motion to accept and adopt item 9.
I have a second from Alderman Russell.
And this is in regards to public bid number 4131, and this is for a new roof for the administration building for the Public Works Department Utilities Division building in the amount of $220,477.15. And it's going to Macri Roofing of Meriden, and I urge adoption.
You got it. Any questions or comments? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Alderman Dyson, resolution number 10.
Thank you, Your Honor. I make a motion to accept and adopt item number 10.
Seconded by Alderman Smedley.
Thank you. This is to authorize to enter in a contract and issue a purchase order for $661,700 with the Weiss Construction Company of Norwich, Connecticut for the Wigville Reservoir Dam Rehab Project for the Public Works. It was a responsible bid and met all the bid specifications, and funding is available for the purchase within the Public Works Department. And Your Honor, if I know Mr. Responda here, I just would hope maybe he would explain exactly what kind of is going to happen.
Sure
if I may.
thing.
Thank you, Your
Mr.
Honor.
Esponda? What's wrong with the Wigville Dam?
It's old, the drainage system is collapsing, and it's very important that that drainage system be operational.
Where is it? Can you?
It's in Burlington, Connecticut. I took you there, I gave you a tour of that spot. It's a beautiful location, but the dam, its structural integrity can be put at risk because of the drainage issues. If we do not control the flow of the water through it, that dam can erode, and we can have a structural collapse of the dam, and we could have an inundation of massive flood go down the stream and down the road and affect many, many houses on the way.
Hold on, Chicken Little, hold on. But we're not there.
We're not there yet.
And that's why we're
That's
doing
why
this
I'm doing
work,
it
to
now.
be preventative, so
Exactly.
that we don't get there. I don't
Right.
want anybody to panic.
I don't want to panic, but I do want to stress the importance of this. And we have to do this. And with climate change, as we've seen the intensity of rainstorms that have been coming through New Britain, this needs to get taken care of, and it needs to get taken care of as soon as possible. I was looking for state funding for this project, but it was going to take too long to get the funding, so we decided to shift it to city funds because of the importance of the project.
Any other? Sure,
Oh, you're
Alderman.
done?
No, I was just going to say thank you, and based on that information, I strongly urge adoption.
Chicken Little?
It's a new one, yes.
Can you explain what work will be done, how to strengthen the dam?
Well, we're going to go into the face of the dam, we're going to put new pipes in that have collapsed and have clogged up. We're going to give them a nice pathway so they can go out controlled, so they don't erode the soil under the dam. So we're going to re-stretch that. We're also going to fix the walls of the spillway, which are old. The dam was built in 1911, and we need to do some structural work on those dams. I'm talking about, you remember the bridge that went over? Those two walls there, you saw leakage and seepage going through there. We need to fix that and control that leakage also.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Russell?
Can I ask how long it's been since you did work on there?
We did work on the actual face of the dam on the inside about 15 years ago.
Thank you.
Alderman Catanzaro.
Thank you, Your Honor. It's not about the dam. All the wells we had, I think in Bristol,
Yes.
right? Yeah, when we were talking about the Southington issue, and then we said we had 3 or 4 many wells in Bristol.
We have like
Was it Bristol,
36
right?
wells, yes, in Bristol,
Yeah, and we
yes.
were gonna work on those to get those. Is that how that?
We
ever
are
got?
working on that right now.
You
We
still
ha-
are? Okay.
We are. We had a bit of a snag with the town of Bristol, and we have to do some redesigns.
Okay, but it's still in the process.
Oh, absolutely, that's a major project.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you.
Okay, should I just stay here for the
You
next one?
probably should, yeah. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Alderman Malinowski.
Thank you, Your Honor. I make a motion to accept and adopt item 11.
Second.
I have a second by Alderman Russell.
And this is for engineering planning for the lead service line inventory for the Public Works Utilities Division. And through you, Your Honor, I'd like to ask Mr. Esponda to briefly summarize this.
Sure thing.
I'll try to do it without such passion. This is a requirement by the federal government that requires all companies who purvey water purveyors to do an inventory of every service line that serves every customer under its jurisdiction. In order to do this, we have to find 4 points along each service line to identify the materials. The goal of this is to eliminate lead from the system. They won't take our word for it that we don't have lead in the system, but so we have to prove it. The 4 points that have to be inspected are inside the house, which we're doing through an EPA grant. We're trying to get the public to actually help us with that. Then we have to go into the snow shelf and look at both sides of the curb box. And we're hoping to avoid ripping up the street to see where the connection is with the main. A lot of our homes were very old, and we have no records on them. So this would help us identify the materials by doing a record search of our permits and building permits. We're going to do lead test, sampling testing. We also have to educate the public. We also have to develop a scheme to identify properties that we do not dig up. So that's where we're investing in a computer program called LeadCast, where we can look at the 3 spots that are much easier to look at and determine the probability of having lead further upstream without ripping up the street. That's where the big money would be if we had to rip up every street.
Thank you, Your Honor. I urge adoption.
Any questions for Mr. Esponda on this? It is a massive undertaking. We're trying to get compliance from property owners on this. So in the coming months, there's going to be a postcard that goes out.
Hopefully within next month, yeah.
Yeah, a postcard that goes out asking people to help us identify what type of service line they have. Mr. Esponda recorded an awesome video that we'll be sharing to show people how to test their service line to see what it is. And so we're asking people to self-report first, and we'll see what we can get.
We're applying for a grant, by the way, from the EPA through the state Drinking Water Fund, where we will get 75% of this cost reimbursed to us. And we're trying to get another 15%.
Any other questions? Alderman Dyson.
Thank you. Through you, Your Honor. Just quickly, is there I know you got to test it yourself, but is there like a certain age that maybe
Lead was outlawed in the 1980s, so any building.
78, right? Was
It was,
technical?
the law was passed in 78, but it didn't come into effect until 1983, I believe. So that's why when we do testing for lead in our system, we only look at certain houses of certain ages.
Thank you.
Yes, it is.
Alderman
And we're looking at a significant,
Thank you,
about
Your Honor.
18,000 homes.
Either to Ray or to you, Your Honor. So if there's something found, say in my house, is that gonna be strictly on my dime? Are we gonna share it? Is there some
There will
grant
be some
money?
federal funding to allow for us to help the homeowner on that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Actually, Your Honor,
Yeah.
just one more quick question, Your Honor, I'm sorry. What about the property, the non-single family owners, 2s, 3s?
Any home that's.
Any building.
Any building connected to us. It's really to do with residential, but commercial has to be inventoried. It has to be found out.
Inventoried.
Inventoried, thank you. Inventoried also. Schools, we have to do an extra effort on schools. And that's going to be all
My
part of this
question,
program.
specific question will be then, the multifamilies, will they be also in that, if they found lead in the piping, because there's a lot of 3 families that are built in pre-1909, will they be also included in that grant?
I
or-
believe so. I couldn't tell you 100% for sure, but if people are living in it, it's a residence, this law is to benefit and protect the health of the people, so I believe they will be included on that.
Thank you very much, Your Honor.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Riddles.
Any other questions or comments on this? Okay, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay.
Thank you.
you.
Alderman Skirbo.
Thank you, Your Honor. Make a motion to accept the adoption of number 12.
I have a second from Alderman Smedley.
Second. at the cost of $169,683.58. Please telecommunications for a 5-year agreement with the Cisco Duo Access Edition for the Support Services Department. I know what it is, but I think Mr. Giudice probably do a better job explaining it.
Well, Mr. Ellie is here, so Umir is here. Oh,
Good evening.
sorry, thanks.
Do you just-
Mr. Ellie, would you like
So
to just
it's-
explain what it is?
It's a multi-factor authentication layer that we are trying to add. It will be used even if you're accessing city Gmail, city network, city computers. It's just needed by state of Connecticut. We have to do it. There is no way around it, and we cannot get insurance for ransomware. That's also, they are asking us to do it.
Okay, cool.
Any questions?
I do have a question. City of Bristol had an issue where police and fire computers and cell phones were not put into this system because you said it was too hard to manage. Is that something that you're doing too?
No, we are doing it for public safety as well. It's just taking a little longer, but it's for the both sides, city side and public safety, because we never had it. So we're working together to make sure that it's being deployed 100% everywhere.
And, yeah, the city of Bristol uses it for everyone but police and fire.
We
I
are
don't know
using-
what their issue is, but.
We are
I know
using
they
it
had a problem.
everywhere because we cannot get ransomware insurance if we don't use it.
Good,
Yep.
thank you.
Alderman Smedley?
Thank you, Your Honor. I just want to clarify in layman's terms for everybody. So what this means is when you log into your email, you have your username and your password. There will then be a second step, as some of the council members have already learned, to get into our email. You have to use a little number that's generated off of a separate device or an app on your phone. The school district is already participating in this. We use Duo that we're purchasing here now, so we have to verify on another device that we are logging in on the other device, just to make sure we're human and not a robot generating or trying to steal files. Hope that helps everyone.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Alderman Island.
I'm just wondering if, did you have to go through a bidding process on this, or this is the only
It's a state
program that is
contract.
available?
It's a state contract, so we don't have to go for bidding. It's like, it's a price that will never change for no matter which vendor goes to get the pricing.
Okay.
And regular pricing for this contract is $55,000. We are getting it for like that price.
Okay,
per
thank
year.
you.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Alderman Skirpo?
Your Honor, I make a motion to accept and adopt item number 13, $99,206.70.
I have a second.
sorry, second.
I have a second by Alderman Smedley. It's all good.
Yeah, I gotta go to work soon, so I gotta get out of here. E-Plus Technologies, Fortnite Wireless Access Points for the New Britain Public Safety Communications Center Division.
This is
You on that one, Mark?
Yes.
You know about that one? Come on up.
This one is Mark's. Please. A brief summary of what it is would be very helpful. Yes, the little face.
There we go.
There we go.
Okay. The reason for the upgrade is that the wireless at the police department hasn't been changed in 10 years. It's end of life, end of support, end of purchase. The technology is so old that you can't connect half of what the modern day devices are supposed to have access to. Along with the police department, we're also adding it out at the fire departments to get a wireless network out there to be able to have the firemen be able to use wireless through the city instead of through a Comcast vendor.
Great, thank you. Any questions? Alderman Ayalon.
So, are you connected to the IT, or you have your own IT? The city-
The public safety and City Hall are kind of two separate domains under one forest.
Okay, so you have your own IT department, or you are the IT department?
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Or
Okay.
my condolences to the two.
You're it.
I'm it.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments for Mr. Giudice? Thank you, Mark. Pleasure to
ple-
see you here. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Alderman Rutkowski, resolution number 14.
Thank you, Your Honor. I make a motion to accept and adopt item number 14.
Second.
I have a second from Alderman Smedley.
This is for $21,120 for a proposed addition to Rockwell Illinois General Contracting for the installation of green bike lane treatment through the 6 intersections in the downtown area, and I urge adoption.
Thank you very much. Any questions or comments on this? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. And Alderman Smedley.
Thank you, Your Honor. I make a motion to accept and adopt resolution number 15.
I have a second from Alderman Russell.
Thank you. This is a very long list this meeting of tax abatements, corrections, and refunds from our tax collector, and I do urge adoption.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Second.
Made by Alderman Smedley, seconded by Alderman Rutkowski. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We're adjourned. The time is 8:26 p.m. Thank you all. Have a good night.